So today I was looking at a couple's house, and they're going through pre-foreclosure right now, which means they have been making, not making any payments on their loan for their house. So I was doing this research after I did what I do to find houses. And if you want to learn how I find houses, then you need to look in the description and get my course. It's $25, and I guarantee you it'll be the best $25 that you spend because the way I do direct mail is different. I've created this course, right? It's something that wasn't in the market from my eyes, from where I'm looking at. I didn't see anything in the market that provides what my course provides. It's a way to do direct mail that will increase your open rate. So I learned about direct mail from various YouTubers, real estate investors on YouTube. I learned how to do it from various investors, and I didn't like a lot of those methods that these guys use and girls use. I didn't like a lot of their methods. I realized that my direct mail campaign needed certain things in it to be successful, and that's what I created in my course. So if you want to do investing the way I do it, and I'm not, you know, the way I do real estate investing is not going to be for everyone. People who are fast paced and want money today. And I mean, you can get the money today with my course. It's a tool. It's up to you to use the tools to your advantage. It's just on, how fast you work, how hard you work, how determined you are. That's with anyone's course or book or whatever resource that you use to do real estate investing. It's up to you. We provide the tools, and it's up to you to make the money. It's on you. But my whole deal here on my channel and everything, this is slow pace. Like I said, I was doing wholesaling part time for like 9 years. So I wasn't in a rush at all. I'm not really, you know, I'm a money maker, man, but it's not really something that I just prioritize like, fully. I like to enjoy the journey on the way. So, my methods and everything are slow paced. What I'm saying? If you're looking for fast paced methods to make money in real estate investing, then you need to go to another channel. But earlier today, like I said, I was, doing my methods that I use to find houses. And I was going through pre foreclosures, and I found a house that was owned by this couple, and they paid, so this is the house. They paid 450K for this house in 2022. Now in 2026, they are going through pre foreclosure. So they are behind on payments. So with this $450,000 loan, I found out that during that time in 2022, interest rates were about 5.5%. So they most likely have a 5.5% interest loan here on their 30-year mortgage. Okay. So I used ChatGPT to do all this calculating for me. So Chat said that, because we're all guessing here. We don't know what they actually owe on their loan. We don't know what's left. But Chat was saying that they probably owe now, from this point to now, today, and with them paying whatever they're paying, their monthly payment. I think Chat said that their monthly payment was between 25 and $2,800 per month, their monthly payment. And chat was saying that if they've been paying, this amount on their loan for 4 years, for the last 4 years, then they probably have $380,000 left on their loan. So I'm thinking that they're sitting on this right here. So they're in pre-foreclosure right now, which means they are behind on their payments. So they do have an amount that they are behind on their payments. And look, if their payments are $2,500 a month, between 25 and 2,800 per month, then they probably owe. I mean, because I don't think that when you're in pre-foreclosure, I think that means that you're 3 months behind on your payments, but I could be wrong. I thought I read that somewhere, but let's just say they are 3 months behind. That's like $10K that they are behind. They're behind $10K on their loan. Okay. $10K behind. So if you add that $10K to what they owe, you need like $390. They need like $390 to set them free. They need like $390. So as an investor, so when you look at these deals, and by the way, the guy, I think his name was like Daniel or something. I mean, I'll just say the guy was 51, and the girl, his wife, let's just say wife. I don't want to disrespect these people, even though they'll never see this video. But the wife was like 49. So these people are young, bro. These people are young. You know what I mean? They're young, and they just paid for this house, and the house is in like an A condition from the pictures on Zillow, and I think those pictures were from 2022 when they bought the property. So the house is in A condition. I mean, you can move right in there. I mean, the house was built. Let's see. Built in 2016. House was built in 2016. So it's in great condition. It's in great condition. You can move a family right in there, and it could be their dream home. It looks that good. It looks that good inside. The only thing I don't like about the house is it's like right next to the neighbors. Like you're right there, shoulder to shoulder with the neighbors. And I hate that. I hate that. As a homeowner myself, I like for there to be a little bit of room between you and your neighbors. If you're between houses, my house is on a corner lot. So, I have the luxury of not having neighbors right next to me. They're across the street. The houses are across the street that go down the main road there. But I have just one neighbor next to me, and I have a older house that's behind my house, and several of the other houses in my cul-de-sac here. But this older house, it's on like an acre. It was built in the 1970s, and I actually spoke to the owner of this house, the owner of this house behind my house, and he had the opportunity to buy the land that they built my subdivision on. He said it was like 40 or 60 acres, and he had the opportunity to buy the land, but he passed on it. And when he passed on it, a builder bought it, and they built my subdivision here. So it's just that guy's house behind my house, and he has an acre, so that guy's house is on an acre. So his house is kind of far away from mine, because his house is sitting closer to the road, and then behind his house is like all his acres. So, I have the luxury of not having anyone behind me, right behind me. I do have one house that is beside me, right beside me. But still, I mean, even though that house is right beside me, we still have some room there. We share a fence, but we still have some room. But this house here, these people house, it's like right next to. I hate how they build these houses now. They like right next to the next house. They're trying to save space, so they're building these houses like right on top of each other, which is crazy, or right next to each other rather. But this house looks good. It looks good. So the point of my video today is like, when you're going through and doing your research on who to send your mail to, you run across a situation like this, where you have these young people here, 51, they're in their, 51, 49, they're around 50 years old. They're probably professionals, they probably have high paying jobs, but for some reason, they're falling behind on their payments on this loan here. And this is a lot, this is a lot to pay, $2,500 to $2,800 per month purely on your mortgage. And so that doesn't count the insurance and the taxes that you have to pay to own a home, so that's not here. And that would be probably an extra 300 in this area. The taxes, I think they're like 150 per month in this area that this house is in. They're like 150 per month, and insurance can range from mine is $300 per month. My insurance, my homeowners insurance is like $300 per month. And I could get some cheaper homeowners insurance, but I love this company that I'm with. Every time there's a hailstorm, they always come out and give me a new roof. So, I can't beat that. I can't say the same for one of my neighbors. One of my neighbors, actually all of my neighbors, they have to go through so much hell to get a new roof or get their insurance companies to do what needs to be done to the house. If it's weather related damage, they have to go through so many hurdles to get their insurance companies to do something. My insurance company does things before I even worry about it. Before it even becomes a problem, they solve it. So I'm okay with paying $300 a month for my homeowner's insurance if I have a reliable insurance company that can handle all my problems without me having to do anything. So I could get some cheaper insurance. I think you can, I can get something around 200 or something like that. But we're talking about an extra, so 150 for the taxes, 200. That's an extra 350 on top of these. So you got that, and then you got your utilities. So you can probably add an extra $500 on top of that. And then with this house being, I forget how big it was. I think it was close to about 2,000 square feet. So this house is about 2,000 square feet. So, heating and cooling, and then there's an upstairs as well. So there's an upstairs down. So there's 2 floors here. Two stories, a 2-story house. So, heating and cooling, they, I'm not sure because I've never lived in a 2-story house before. But 2,000 square feet, man. Who knows what their AC payment, their electricity bill is. But you can add another, what is this, 850. So 850 to these. So they're paying like, let's see, let's get the calculator out. So 2,500 plus 850, that's 3,350. 2,800 plus, so 3,350 and 3,650. So between these 2 payments, this is what these people are having to come out of pocket to live in this house, you know? So, I mean, they can be two professionals both making 10K a month. So they're bringing in 20K. And you would think that bringing in 20K every month would be like a lot of money. You think that's a lot of money. But what people tend to do is they get these jobs or whatever, these high paying jobs, and they end up raising their expenses with their job, with their new income. You know, the new income that they have coming in, they end up raising their expenses up with this. You know, so they may have 20K coming in, but they got 3K going out to, you want to stay around 30. You want your housing, well, these days, your housing, I think I read statistics that said that people are paying almost 50% of their income on their housing. That 50% number used to be 30%, you know, before all this happened, the pandemic and everything. That number used to be 30%. So it was a good rule of thumb to spend 30% of your income on housing. So for 20K, 30% of that was 6,000. So 6,000. So if they are making this much, then they're good. But so they got six. So they're spending 3,650 on housing, which they're good. But obviously, they have other expenses in there. Maybe they have two cars, and see now that takes you up to cars on average are about $1,000 a month. You know what I mean? That's what people are spending on cars these days. They're like $1,000 a month. So now you're up to 5,600, and then people have to they have to look good, so you're spending money every month on shoes and clothes and everything. So, who knows what these people are going, what's happening to them. So, cause you can guess all day. Maybe they're making that much. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're making 10K a month, together, 5K a piece or something like that, or, somewhere along in there. But whatever's going on with them, they're in distress, so, the question that I had when I first saw this property, and this situation, I looked up this whole situation. I was trying to figure out how could I help them and how could I benefit at the same time? Because, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for an investor. Now, subject tos and creative deals, I don't think that would work here. Maybe it would, but people in these types of situations, they just want to let go of the house. They just want to be done with it. So doing, wraparound mortgages and all of that, all these techniques for people in these types of situations, I don't think that will solve the problem. Because what if they do like a wraparound mortgage or a subject to or whatever, and what if me as the buyer, what if I failed to pay them? So then they would have to take the property back, and then they're right back where they started. So I don't think things like that would work here. And I'm sure I'm missing something. Maybe there is some kind of creative deal that will work for someone in this situation. But people in this situation, bro, they do not want to be tied to the property anymore. They want to be done. So, the play here is to give them this here in cash or whatever, cash. It can be credit that's against cash or against your 401k or against something. But you would need to give them this. And then the house, I think the house was worth about 480,000 on Zillow. Okay. So that's the worth on Zillow. So, it's like 100K there, 90K there, 100K there between these two right here. It's like 100, there's 100 or 90K here. So if you buy cash with 390, and you can sell it for this price right here. If you can sell it for that price, and you probably could. It may take a while. I don't know. This area that this house is in, it's in an area where it's next to a hospital. So some doctor, may be able to buy this property. A nurse may be able to buy this property. This city also has a bunch of small businesses that hire a lot of techie guys and girls, not just guys, but techie guys and girls. So there's some high income people in this area that I'm in. I mean, people making $100,000 a year is just like that's just typical. So there's some high paying jobs around this area. So it may not take that long to for someone to buy this house at 480. Like I said, they would need to be making, let's see, 480, 30% of 480. Yeah, they need to be making, um, oops, 480. Oh, no, no, no. Sorry. Um, so if they move right in, they don't have to put anything down. 480 at what is the interest rates right now? It's down. They're like 6%, I believe. Yeah, six something. So okay. So around the same price. So the payments on 480,000 dollars, a loan of $480,000. The payment on it would be around $3,000, three something $1,000, or maybe a little bit more. So like 3,300 or something like that, and that's before taxes and insurance. So someone who has about $4,000 per month to spend on a house, on their housing, would be able to buy this house. A couple or whoever, a couple making 20K a month would be able to move in here no problem. Because yeah. So the house would need to be under 6K. So if you got an income, if you have you and someone else, or just you, if you have a income that totals 20K per month, then your housing you can spend. It's safe to spend up to $6,000 a month on housing. That keeps you in that 30% of your income on your housing range. So someone, in that situation, a couple or something like that could move in here. And there's a lot of people making this per month. This is not really, that's not rare to see around this area. So some people could, so it probably wouldn't take long to move someone in there. So you got 100K of equity here ish, 100K, 90K. So this could work. This could work if they were to accept 390, and if they really were behind, 10K behind what they owe, and as long as there's not anything else that they owe, like any liens or anything like that, any other liens besides the lien that the mortgage company has, the bank has, or whatever. So these situations, you have to break them down and really take a step back and look at the entire picture to make a sound decision on whether or not to send these people something. So get in contact with these people so they can meet you. So I was looking at that today, and I thought I would do something on this because these are the types of decisions that you got to kind of that you got to wrap your head around, really. Not just you don't just get a list of pre-foreclosures and you just start sending mail to all of them. I mean, you can do that if you want, but you have to make sure that you can help this person there, and you have to make sure that there's an opportunity for you to make some money in these types of situations. Because I mean, a person who, they have 4 years right here that they have been paying on this loan. So they have 4 years of a pay down on their loan. That creates an opportunity, because if they are being foreclosed on, they can't afford the payments on this house. So they really need to sell. And you could work out a deal where you are just paying what they owe and they don't want anything else. But, in most of these cases, they want some money to walk away from the table with. They're not going to just accept this 390 what they owe. They're going to try to get some money out of the deal. You know what I'm saying? So they may not take 390, but it's a possibility. It's a possibility, and that's kind of like what you're working on. You're working on possibilities. Because they very much they may be like, oh no, we don't want 390. It may be an insult to them. They may say that they want 450, and then it wouldn't really work for you. I wouldn't recommend trying to sell it at 480 and make that 30K there, because there's a 30K difference here if they was to take what they paid. But that could work. That could work, but it's not enough meat on the bone for me. It's not enough meat on the bone for me. 30K, because you got to pay if you do buy this, or if someone buys this, if you get someone to partner with you and they buy this, you have to pay these holding costs here while you have this loan, this loan right here that you use. If it's a loan, or maybe it's cash. If it's cash, then, it's just cash, and you're, keeping the lights on and the water on or whatever, so you can show it to people. But that'll be the only thing you're paying for. But it's rare that that investors use cash. It's rare that they use cash. Investors, for the most part, and I found this to be insane, but investors, for the most part, they don't keep a lot of cash on them. They use loans. They invest their cash. They don't never have a lot of cash on them. An investor I know, he just keeps around 400,000 cash in his account. But he has like millions of dollars worth of real estate, and he could probably have millions of dollars in his bank account, but he doesn't. He just keeps a couple 100,000 in his bank account. He's like, he invests his money, his cash is invested into things. They use cash as a means to buy more assets. These investors, these wealthy people, that's what they do. So they don't have a lot of they don't have, like, if I was to contact him and be like, man, do you think you want to put this amount of money down and we can make 100K on this? He can probably give me 20K and he can make 80K or something like that. He would be like, man, that's all the money I have to my name right now. He said, no, he probably would say, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. We would have to use a loan or something. And I'll just give you the cash. So, this is a play here. This is a situation where you can make some money, but, like I was saying before, you have to look at every one of them on a case by case basis, because you have to figure out how much they paid and how much they owe right now, and in order to do that, you need to know how long they've been paying on a loan or whatever. You can use ChatGPT to help you out or whatever, but you have to do this. You have to go through this and figure out what they paid, how much the place is worth, what it could sell for if you were to sell it today. You have to look at the whole picture. You have to look at the whole picture to make a sound judgment. So, I sent these people a letter in the mail. Hopefully they get back to me. If they don't, I'm gonna send them another letter in the mail. Sometimes with these pre-foreclosures, these owners have an opportunity to get out of foreclosure, so they can pay what they owe. They can go back and pay what they owe, work out something with the bank. They can, make this 10K that they may be behind on their mortgage. They can do it in installments with the bank, so they can work something out with the bank, and they can start paying their loans again, so they can get out of pre-foreclosure. So, you don't really get a lot of calls from these people, because they're trying their best to rectify their situation. They want to stay in the house. This is their home, they want to live here. But every once in a while, like, sometimes I get a call back from people in these types of situations. I get a call back from them. Most of the time when I get a call back from people who are in pre-foreclosure, they want more than I'm willing to give them. So like in this situation here, the only thing that I would give these people are what they owe. That would make it really appealing to take this deal on, because if I can get it at 390 and sell it for 480, it'll solve their problem. They won't have the property anymore. They won't have the loan anymore. And then it would be a really sizable profit for me, as an investor. That would be a really sizable profit. And that would make it worth going after this, and going through the headaches of working with these people and taking this on, So, just wanted to talk about this deal I was looking at earlier today. I had this deal on my mind, and I guess what I'm trying to convey is that I have to put myself in these people's shoes when I'm sending them mail and getting in contact with them, and potentially helping them out, because that's what you're here for. You're really here to help these people get out these situations, because there's no service that they can call that do what you do as an investor. There's no, these people, the public in general, the public doesn't know anything about investors. They know about people flipping houses and things like that, but where can you find these people? You can't really find investors. You don't. There's no network to call and be like, oh, I want to speak to one of your investors. A lot of investors are just working through real estate agents. That's how they do. They just sit back and they're just waiting in the wings until their real estate agent calls them and be like, oh, I got something. So you have to be kind of proactive in these types of situations. You got to put your name and number in front of these people's face, so they can give you a call, because like I said, they're not really thinking about calling an investor. They're just really thinking about how can they get out of the situation, and can they do it on their own. But until they get your letter saying, hey, I can buy your house. I'm in the business of investing in real estate. And so I'm a buyer, basically. You basically telling them that I'm a buyer and I'm interested in your house. I have the resources and means to come up with this 390. I got good credit, I got cash or whatever. I have the means to come up with this 390 if that's what you want. And this will get you out of your situation pretty quickly. So they have a need for you. There's a great need for you. You are a viable option for them on their table when they're making their decisions. But they have to make that decision at the end of the day. So that's all I want to talk about today. I'll see you later.